You said I'm a fake lawyer who takes real legal questions. That's not
Yes.
a real.
That's a very real. That's a legal question that
nobody's ever called a lawyer and asked this. This is a fake legal question as well as me being a fake lawyer. And I would.
Well, perhaps I stretched the truth just a wee bit.
We were actually asking about thalidomide, but you changed it to iron and superpowers instead of flipper babyism.
Welcome to another episode of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker on this August 31st, 2022, the final day of August, moving on into Labor Day weekend in a few days. And our client for today is Every Day is a Holiday.
Behold, trapped in a hellscape of their own invention, socially unaware old white men bound by the pretense of being fake lawyers yet knowing no law, no exquisite Latin terminology, they are inexplicably compelled to quibble over minutia, squabble over triflings, and bicker like those who value their backyards far too highly without even knowing the difference between an easement and an alleyway. At this very moment, you have entered the heart of the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. Let's get started.
Do you know what's more valuable than gold, diamonds, oil, Jeff Bezos' PIN number? If you said a bag of fresh baby spinach, well, you'd be wrong, and also stupid. The most valuable commodity by weight and price? Printer ink. Yep, printer ink. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, what kind of fucking chucklehead is still printing shit in real life? The answer might surprise you. It is a lot of fucking people. People also apparently still go on cruises all the time, too. I don't know. You figure it out. What the good folks at Black as Night Farms have figured out is how to create cows that you can milk. Wait for it. For printer ink. This is like an explosive, like Greg's diarrhea level explosive business opportunity. Just one of these ink cows can produce upwards of $250,000 in printer ink each year. And ink cows require little attention, can live in a one-bedroom apartment, and live mostly off household waste products and Yoplait yogurt. So get on the ground floor with Black as Night Farms and the disruption that the big ink didn't see coming, namely a genetically engineered ink cow. Don't ask how, why it was done. Just send $9,000 in $20 bills to Black as Night Farms, P.O. Box 2231 Shit, we live here, Oregon. 27112, and we'll ship you a cow. Remember, if it ain't cow ink, it ain't right.
Confused.
He's inspired today.
Yes.
A cow that produces printer ink is our sponsor.
Sure.
Okay,
Instead
fair
of
enough.
chocolate milk.
Yeah, he's been hanging out with Waspy Soda Pop, I think.
It's very possible. I don't know. I think it's a good sponsor for us, though. You know, it's
Sure.
It's one that it can work within the sponsors that we usually get. Okay, so our guest is comedian Keith Ross Nelson, based out of California, and so we're going to be talking about his life and the perils that he has to deal with on a daily basis. Because one of the things I found out, Greg, is that he owns approximately 5,273 cats.
That's not true.
No, well, not that many, but he's got a few. He's at least got more than two.
Trust me, if you're inside the house with these guys, it seems like that many.
How many is it total, for real?
In the house, there's 33, 4 in the front yard, 3 in the back. It's 40 total.
Wait a second.
Whoa.
You count cats that are inside and outside the house as your own?
Well, because there's a constant. In my act, I say basically the inside of our house is the United States. The front door is the port of entry. The neighborhood's the world. I'm Trump trying to keep the cats out. My wife's Biden bringing them in.
You just got to build a wall
And
and get Mexico to pay for it, Keith. And
She's
you'll
a
have
lady.
She's a Filipino woman. That's not going to stop her. She survived 12 years of politics in the Philippines. So going against me is a joke.
Oh, what part of the Philippines is she from?
Batangas.
Batangas. That's like down. Is that in the southern part of Luzon? Where
Yeah.
is that? Okay.
Yeah.
I used to live in the Philippines.
She was the youngest vice governor in the history of the country, and then she was the head writer in the Senate for 7 years.
No kidding. Oh.
Yeah.
No, I lived in the Philippines back in the 80s. My dad was in the Navy, and that's where I went to. That's where I went to high school. But I never got down to
Crazy.
Batangas. Yeah, yeah, it was kind of crazy. It's not a place I don't recommend raising teenagers in the Philippines. especially American teenagers, because
Okay, so my obvious question would be twofold.
yes.
What did you dislike about being a teenager in the Philippines? What did you like about it?
Well, what I disliked was the fact that I was in a foreign country at all. But the heat was kind of rough. You eventually get acclimated to it because it was like 90 degrees minimum
Right.
all year round, and had 2 seasons, which is wet and dry.
Right.
I wasn't a
You
huge
missed-
fan of the flying cockroaches either. They weren't something that
You missed the whole new romantic movement that was sweeping the rest of the world.
did I. The new romantic movement of the early 80s.
Yes. That when you were in Philippines?
I was in the Philippines from 81 to 84. So I was
Okay,
there.
yeah, the rise of it you missed.
I was there for when Marcos was still there. I was there for martial law. I was there for when Aquino was shot, and then everything changed shortly after I left, and
Right.
like the whole political movement shifted. But it was
So when you left America, Donna Summer was on the charts, #1, and when you got back, Kaja Gugu was #1. It was the sea change.
the thing that I think the thing that got me in the Philippines that I wasn't familiar with Iron Maiden before I went to the Philippines, but it was a Filipino band that did covers of Iron Maiden songs that became a huge fan of Iron Maiden because of this Filipino band. They sang this song and I'm like, what is this this band they're singing? I've never
Were they
heard this
called
before.
Maiden Manila?
I don't know I don't remember the name of the band, but they performed they would have these things called peso shows in the Philippines, specifically off the base from where we were. I was in Subic Bay, so this is a Longapo city, and so they had various different bars. You'd have like a rock club next to a country club, next to a disco, next to a ping pong parlor, next to a massage parlor, next to another rock club, et cetera, et cetera. And some of them combine things. So you could have like a rock band playing, and then a stripper would come out after the rock band was playing and do what's called a peso show, where people would toss pesos and the women would do.
It sounds like the upside of living in the Philippines when you're a teenager way outweighs the negative side.
There
Flying
was-
backwards.
There were, like I said, there were things that made it good, and that's why you shouldn't if you're a parent, you don't want to take your teenagers
Yeah.
to the Philippines, because there's no drinking age off base. So what little money we had, we could spend. You could get a beer for 12.5 cents, and there was a drink called Mojo, which was a combination of different liquids, including alcohol and soda and beer, that was kind of, you get a pitcher of that for about $2, and that would be enough to knock anybody down for the night. And I saw a lot of multicolored vomit during the course of my youth as a student in high school in those years. But
That would be
anyway,
amazing if
but
Keith's
we're not
wife
talking
was
about
at
me here. We're talking about Keith. Exactly.
I just want to say it would be amazing if Keith's wife was like at those Iron Maiden cover band shows. You could have bumped it.
I don't. His wife probably had a better career for her. I would hope anyway.
What was it, Keith? I saw that look.
What's that?
You gave a look when he said a better career. You're like, ugh.
Well, look, my wife's IQ, she was admitted to Harvard, but she didn't go because obviously at that time she was vice governor of the Philippines. And our daughter, who's graduated 2 years ago from Berkeley in philosophy, has a higher IQ than my wife. So basically, if there's the three of us debating something and you want to know which one is not like the other, it would be me.
Well, so how did you meet your wife if she was vice governor of the Philippines? At what age was she vice governor, and when did you come
she
across
was
her?
vice governor at 23.
Okay.
And,
Wow.
She was the head writer in the Senate, part of Ramos's term, and then part of Aquino.
Oh, okay.
And then she went through a bad divorce and she came to the U.S. So that's kind of how I ended up lucking into her.
Well, did you guys meet at a comedy club, or
No.
how did
I
that
met
occur?
her. So I married my first wife till 95. And then I did another 12 years of toxic women. And then I just gave up. I said, I can't do this anymore. And I joined eHarmony and met her on there. And it was kismet.
You said eHarmony?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. You
So,
went the
I have nothing but good words to say about them, because this woman changed my life in a good way. So.
And when did you get married? How long have you been married?
2007. We actually had our anniversary yesterday.
Has she considered going back and trying to supplant Bong Bong, who is the current
No.
president of the Philippines?
It's crazy. She actually loves the fact that he's elected, which blows me away because Bong Bong's dad put her dad in prison once for a year because the mayor of Batangas said he was a subversive, which was a lie. And then my wife says she was about 4 or 5 years old. Her mom used to go to work. This is after he gets out of prison. And the soldiers would come, and then she would answer the door at 4 and 5 years old and say, oh, he'd hide in the attic. They say, oh, he's on vacation. He's not here. So, I mean, if you're a girl and you can do that at 4 and 5 years old, are you really a person to be trifled with?
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, that was those were kind of scary times when Marcus was around. I remember when I got off the plane and was seeing guys with like AK whatever numbers come after the AK on the side of the road, and I'm like, oh, I'm no longer in Washington State. That's where I moved from. So I'm like, this is going to be a different experience here. But I never really noticed anything throughout the course of my living because I was on a U.S. military base the whole time, so I never really experienced the martial law again after that. We just heard stories. You know, when there were the native Filipinos where we were, the Negritos. They were responsible for patrolling the perimeter, and we heard stories that occasionally they'd find a head on a spear every so often. That they don't know how it got there, but it was somebody who shouldn't have been trying to get on the base. So I don't know if that's a true story or not, but it was, you know, as a kid, it was interesting to hear things like that.
Yeah. So Keith, I'm curious, when did you get into comedy? When did you get hit by the bug? Bit by the bug, I mean.
Or hit, depending on the bug. If it was a flying cockroach, you can get hit by him.
Senior year of college, because I used to crack jokes during these 90-minute lectures. So one of my friends kind of dared me to go on stage, and I did it kind of as a lark, and then I got kind of hooked. So that's kind of how that happened.
And when did you become a pro?
Let's see. I started getting work within about a year and a half.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah, I did 86, 85, maybe late 85. Then I did about a year and a half of open mics, and I started getting opening work. And then within a year after that, I got bumped to feature. So 87 to 91, I did 3 or 4 years of featuring, and then from 90 on, I just most shows after that I closed.
And you're doing most of your work on the West Coast, or did you travel across the country?
Everywhere.
Okay.
Before
So you were a working comic. You're a guy like in a van, going from like gig to gig, getting your $20, and then just getting enough money to get to the next gig, type of thing.
Well, the crazy thing is, from 86 to 94, the money was better than it is all the way up to today, basically.
Wow.
But then I got on ships recently, and that's more money than clubs. So I just do ships now because the money's better. They pay for everything. I like the crowds better. It's fine.
You're talking about like cruise ships, not now. Like little yachts.
No, cruise ships. Yeah.
Okay. Let's say you're like on a rowboat. You're like, you got a gig on a rowboat.
Yeah. No.
And I imagine you have less youngsters getting all offended at your jokes.
What's
getting
that?
Outraged. You have less youngsters getting outraged at your jokes on a cruise than a comedy.
You have, the minimum on a cruise is you got to have 1 PG 30 minutes and then 2 adult 30 minutes. So the PG, of course, has to be squeaky clean, but 2 adults, you get to do what you want. The kids can't be over 18. The kids have to be over 18 to get in on the adult shows. So,
did you ever do clean before this? Is this like a new thing, or were you?
Well, I mean, I did 45 to an hour for like 30 years, and half of it was, I'm not really a dirty act. I'm more innuendo. So, I mean, I have a lot of innuendo, but I mean, my innuendo I couldn't do in the PG show, but I'm not considered, even in adult shows, my act's not really considered dirty compared to some other guys.
Yeah, I mean, you just have like some profanity that you toss in here and there for accentuation.
Yeah, I'll drop. With me, the more F-bombs you hear in an adult show, the more annoyed I am with the audience. The less you hear means it's going well.
That's a
But
good
they don't
telling
know
point.
that.
So
They don't
after
know.
all of these years, like looking back on your career, what would you say is the joke you created that you're the most proud of?
Ooh, that's a good question. I have this smoking joke I do, um, but I couldn't get it. Anything. I knew it was funny, but I just couldn't get a laugh out of it. It took me a month.
That's like most of our jokes here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
We
it
know
just
they're
had to
funny.
be done a certain way.
Hmm.
And once I got it that way, then it just worked all the time.
Are you able to give us a little bit of the smoking joke?
The smoking joke is I go, my brother smokes, and they say for every cigarette you smoke, you lose 7 seconds of your life, which is really sad. Because one of my brother's best friends recently hit by a bus, only smoked one cigarette his whole life. And just think if he hadn't smoked that cigarette, he would have had time to scream
Or at least miss the bus.
or miss the bus, right?
Right.
I was really curious about your bio, Keith. Do you still do high jumping?
No,
Is that
I
as
do.
a hobby?
Um, I do kung fu now. I've been doing that for, I guess, 13 years.
And your third
When
degree
did you
black
stop
belt?
with the high jumping?
I think my last year was I went to nationals at, I think I was 51. And then, um, just, I'd done everything I wanted to do kind of in that. So I had the record for a while in an age group, and then I won like 3 national championships, and I don't know. And then I'd always wanted to do some martial arts, and I just couldn't. I couldn't do all three. I couldn't do comedy, martial arts, and high jumping. It was just,
You couldn't
it
find
was,
a way to combine them all in one
yeah,
set,
no,
maybe?
yeah.
Have you
Hit a
ever
guy on
used
the
your
way over the
martial
bar.
arts? Oh, I'm sorry.
What's that?
Have you ever used your martial arts against hecklers? Come in
Against
handy?
hecklers.
The closest I came was about 3 years ago. A guy pulled a knife on me at a 7-Eleven, and um, then it just became a Mexican standoff because I just kind of turned sideways and waited. And he's not going to hit me with a left. He's not going to kick me. I had long pants on. He had shorter arms than me. So I go, every time he reaches out to stab me, I'm giving him a foot. So I already have my plan. I like as he pulled the knife, I go, okay. He just showed me what he's going to do. And I just stood there staring at him. And then he said, fuck you, Puna, and walked away. That was the end of it. Because I don't think he expected when he pulled the knife, I don't think he expected the response he got out of me.
He expected fear as opposed to somebody
Yeah,
standing
and
up
there's
to
no
him.
there's no fear because we're taught you never fight and plan. You always plan and fight. But the most important thing I've learned, that's the last time I even came close, because now, like, as soon as I think there's going to be a problem, I just leave. There's no fight if I'm not there.
What form of kung fu have you studied?
Kung Fu. Yeah.
Which one?
Which is, Kung Fu is kind of like, it's more defensive than offensive, like karate and Wang Chun are more offensive. They come right at you. Kung Fu is kind of like you go to an angle and then counter their mistake. And whatever they do is a mistake. That's kind of the thinking.
It's similar in terms of philosophy as judo. Not in terms of the actual martial art itself, but yeah, okay, gotcha. I have something I wanted to bring up, which is that you were one of the first people to wear one of the shoes from Nike. Like you were at the University of Oregon.
I actually wore one of the first 100 pair.
One of the first 100 pairs.
Yeah, because what happened was they were making them on Bowerman's waffle iron. They pour the rubber, then they peel it off, cut it off at the cut it in the shoe. That was the first bottoms of Nikes. It was the nubs off of a waffle iron.
You'd think that the Dutch would have figured that out before them, but since they made the waffles, they should.
So the first 100 pair went to the Oregon track athletes that year, which was 73, 74. And then they started selling them out of the back of Knight and Bowerman's car. And then the next thing they did was they went to sporting goods stores throughout the Northwest telling them, if you put our shoes in the window, we'll give you a free pair of shoes. That's how that all started.
Did they smell like waffles?
What's that?
Did they smell like waffles?
No. Rubber doesn't smell like waffles. So
The question really is, Greg, is like, did they use the waffle iron for making waffles after they made the shoes with them?
Yeah.
Well, Bowerman's wife was not happy. Let's put it this way. And here, you'll like this. This is these right here.
Fancy.
Those are my newest pair that just came in the mail.
So do you get like free Nikes for life because you got the first 100 pair?
Because I got with them for high jump, and then I was a really good high jumper for a while. And then when I got good at comedy, it just kind of went over there.
They couldn't give you like Nike microphones.
No, I don't think they make those. So
Yeah.
that would be, they'd have to farm that out, I guess, to the Japanese or something. Make a deal with Sony.
Yeah, or Shure. Shure does pretty good
there you
microphones.
go.
If they just wrapped them in rubber, though, I think it would probably take away a lot of the sound quality.
Yeah.
It wouldn't quite work as well. So you went to the University of Oregon. I believe another interview, you were there like the year after Prefontaine had graduated. I have to do Oregon stuff because we're based in Oregon, but
Yeah, he graduated the year before I came in, and then I was there my freshman year, and then I transferred to San Jose State because I got tired of jumping in the rain. And so the year I was redshirting, I came up to the Twilight meet and jumped. And that was the meet where he broke the 5,000 record, and then the next day he died. Or that night he died.
And
So
from what I
you're
understand, with that, if he had taken your advice, he could potentially have
That's
been
a
alive
true
today.
story.
Yeah.
You know what? That's actually a true story. I don't think most people know about that. My dad had the same exact color. He had a Triumph MGB, and my dad had a roll bar on. And my freshman year, the third day at Oregon, I saw Pre coming out of MacArthur Court, and he was getting into his MGB, and I noticed he didn't have a roll bar. And I go, "You should get a roll bar for that." He goes, "What?" And I go, "Yeah, you should get a roll bar for that, because if you ever flip that, you're going to get crushed." And he kind of looked at me and went like, what? I go, So, you don't think anything of it. It's kind of almost like a throwaway.
Right.
It's just kind of like a way in to talk to somebody that's like the most famous track guy in the United States at the time. But in the end, that's what did it in. Not
Wow.
having a roll bar.
How long after you had that conversation did the accident happen?
So that was freshman year, September. Go to the next year, September. Go to the following May. 18 months.
So he had plenty of time to get that roll bar in.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
That is the worst hate to say I told you so scenario.
Yeah.
You can't really take joy out of it.
Yeah. I've told that story probably to less than 10 people.
Wow.
Because most people just say,
Well, I'm glad I
you
was
made
able
it
to
up
dig
or
it up out of the internet so we could get it from you. It is a fascinating story to hear that, but we'll move on into the other areas. Now, I have another question, which is one of the interviews I heard you say that you've had 4 fathers, and they all have different interesting characteristics about them.
Right.
Jeez. I kind of want to dig into that a little bit. So describe your dads.
So Ross, my first dad, Dave Ross, I'm the great-great-grandson of Betsy, who made the flag.
Oh.
So, but I've never met my dad. So 3 months before I was born, he left my mom, then they split up, and then that's it. So that's basically all I know about him.
So you never saw him your entire life? He just disappeared. Wow.
And then my second dad, the one I was just telling you about, he adopted me. That's how I became a Nelson and ended up in a family with blonde, blue-eyed Swedes. And then I got this dark hair, brown eyes. So it's like, again, we're back to which one is not like the other. It's me.
Yeah, you were like the Chinese adopted baby.
Kind of, yeah, pretty close. And then they got divorced when I was 10. My third dad was manic depressive, and my mom actually put him in that. God, I can't remember the name of it. Whatever the mental institution is in Salem, which is actually the place where they shot Cuckoo's Nest.
It wasn't that just Oregon State Hospital? Wasn't that the name?
Yeah.
Okay.
She put him in there for a while, and they gave him shock treatment, and then they got out, and then they separated, and he was living in an apartment about a mile away. And then my mom told me go check on him because he wasn't answering his phone, and I found him, and he like killed himself. So I found him like naked after he'd been dead like 3 or 4 days. That was like at 14.
That's traumatizing. What the hell?
And then my fourth dad got married to my mom when I was 15, and he fought in World War II, and he was on a ship called the Houston, which, like the Indianapolis, was sunk. So he spent like 2 or 3 days in the water with sharks and stuff.
Oh my!
Oh,
yeah, and he never. They were going to take his left leg, but he wouldn't let him. They said I had gangrene. I don't know the whole story, but somehow the leg survived and he was fine. But that guy never got in a lake or an ocean or took a bath the rest of his life. And then
he never took a bath. Did he take a shower at least, or get hosed down in some way? Or?
Yeah, just take a shower.
Did he love to eat shark?
Sponge baths,
right?
So I would love to eat shark if I was him. I'd take such glee in ordering shark at the fish restaurant. Like, give me a shark raw.
Yeah.
Raw shark.
If only you'd been around.
Yeah, Greg, that would have been great advice to give.
Greg, the maître d' for people who've suffered shark trauma.
Yeah, it's like getting revenge.
Except Greg would be the hater'd instead of the maître d'.
Tonight. If you need
advice,
like
you guys try to eat me. I'm eating you now. You goddamn sharks.
Yeah, sure. A little flip the script.
So your most recent father is the one who was in World War II, and he was in the ocean for a longer period of time than most people should have been. So is he the one that you discussed the 96? He must be the one that you discussed where you say he's 96 years old and some older ex. Yeah, I'd imagine he's got to be about 100 now if he's still alive.
Yeah, he's not. But the last thing he said is, "Don't quit making jokes about me." He loved the fact that there was all these jokes on him. I got like 10 minutes of stuff on him. So, I mean, and actually a lot of it, some of it is about some of the other ones, but it's just, we make it him. It just,
It's poetic license.
Poetic license. That's what I was actually looking for, but.
Or comedic license, I suppose, would be more accurate. But
old age just made me forget the term, apparently.
Yeah, I know how the old age thing's going. I mean, you're a little older than we are.
10 more years, the jokes will actually just be about me. It won't be my dad anymore. The jokes will just move to me. So
you'll be taking the Viagra.
Yeah, it'll be self-deprecation. Exactly.
That's what most of our jokes are. They're either self-deprecating or I'm deprecating Greg. That's kind of how.
Yeah, I actually need more jokes in my act that are self-deprecating. I don't have enough, unfortunately.
You need to lower your ego more. In other words, you have to.
I'm too busy making fun of everybody else. I need to actually start poking more fun at myself.
Think bad things about yourself. Greg has plenty of material about thinking bad about yourself that he could give you.
Yeah, I'm good at it.
I'm sure my wife could help out on.
She's the smart one.
Comedy, Keith, in '86 around did you have any comedy heroes? Any guys you thought were amazing?
Yeah, I like. Oh boy, there's 4 or 5 guys I really like. Carlin, Miller, the old Miller, not Dennis Miller now. Richard Jenny, and then Chris Rock. I love Rock.
No, you don't hear about Richard Jenny anymore, which is sad.
Dude, he was a beast.
Yeah, Platypus Man is like one of my favorite comedy specials.
Dude, that guy would take a subject and just shred it. You'd watch him take a subject and you go, well, I guess I'm not going to talk about that.
Yeah, it was just another sad story, unfortunately. It's like, I really thought he could have done really well with his career.
Now, it's. I think enough time has passed. Can you tell us out of school, what kind of comedians did you hate? Did you hate certain guys? Like, I don't want to do that. I want to do the opposite of what they're doing.
Who's the biggest jerk, you mean, Greg?
No, just
boy.
Not how good they were as a person, just you hated their comedy.
Oh, they were like overrated or something.
Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah, you know what? That list is long. There's a lot of guys you just go, how did that guy make it? 'Cause, and then you see other guys, you're going, this guy's so much better than that guy. But a lot of times the problem is this. I always said there's like 3 ways of making it, maybe 4. One is you replace somebody that's already really good that gets older. Because there's no creativity in Hollywood. So what they do is when one guy gets really old, they replace him with the younger version of that guy. So for instance, Woody Allen begets Richard Lewis. Pryor begets Rock begets Chappelle. I call it slot filling. Then the other easier way to make it is be a character like Dice, Kinnison,
Emo Phillips.
Huh?
Emo Phillips.
Emo Phillips is another good example, right? So the hardest way to make it is actually just straight material and really funny. Yeah. Because they don't know what to do with you sometimes.
Who would you say is the comedian that you always wanted to really break free, who was well known within comedic circles, but not necessarily as well known as you thought he should be nationally? I've always kind of felt that way about Brian Regan.
But he's pretty big. But
yeah.
He's a great, you know what? He's a great example because I middled for him in the 90s at the Punchline in Atlanta, which is one of the top 10 clubs in the United States. They gave me headliner money to come in and middle for him. And 30 minutes just tore the room up. He went up, it was like I hadn't even been there. He's so good.
Yeah.
And he's just silly and stupid, but he's the best at silly and stupid. He's just hysterical. And every night it was like that. Just and his brother Dennis is very funny. Dennis has done Letterman, but he's just a monologist. Brian is just his own force and entity.
Yeah, he is kind of a force of nature, Brian Regan.
Yeah.
I mean, I first became aware of him back in the 90s, and he did this one routine where I just laughed my head off, and I went, I will be a fan of this guy's for life.
Yeah.
I actually saw him and Dennis here in town a few years back, and it was a great show. I didn't realize that he toured with his brother.
I didn't either.
Yeah, they do occasionally do that. But I was happy to see him finally get like a TV show, which showed up on Netflix, but they only did like 1 season. I was surprised it didn't go even further. But yeah, but I think that's probably by his choice, because I think he likes touring, because he's the epitome of a touring comic.
Carlin was like that. He had that show on Fox. They renewed it, and then he just quit and went back to doing stand.
What always cracked me up about Carlin was that he was on Thomas the Tank Engine for a while.
Really?
As the conductor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, of all the people they picked to be the conductor on a kids show, George Carlin? I'm like, seriously?
Yeah.
And then Richard Pryor was the port then or whatever.
No. That was not the case, Greg.
Him and Morgan Freeman,
Morgan Freeman was a comedian?
He was
but he was on Sesame Street.
Oh, right. Well, no, he was Electric Company. Morgan Freeman was on Electric Company. Because I remember him as a kid going, knowing him as the Easy Reader. Yeah. And then he was in like an R-rated movie. I'm like, wait, how can the Easy Reader be in a movie like that? Like,
crazy business.
Ruined my childhood. But so of the people that you saw in comedy clubs, who was like the big surprise for you in terms of the first time you saw them, you were like, wow, this guy's amazing, but nobody knew who he was, but now everybody knows who he is. Was there anybody like that?
Yeah, I got to think here. Ron White.
Really?
He middled for me. And then Engvall grabbed him. The funny thing is it was going to be either Ron White or Killer Bees. I don't know if you've ever heard of Killer Bees.
Just from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, no, not that Killer Bees.
Okay.
But and they chose Ron White, and Killer Bees to this day is still bitter because he felt he should have been the one chosen. But I think Ron was easier to get along with.
This is for the Blue Collar Comedy Tour.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ron middled for me, And then the next week, there's a guy named Rocky Lepore who middled for me, who was second on Last Comic Standing a couple of years ago. Dude, those guys are beasts. Try to follow them. I mean,
right, they middled for you, and you're the headliner.
Yeah,
and like,
I was
wait
the
a
headliner.
second.
I had to follow
Like-
man. That was a long week.
Were you on like Night at the Improv in the late 80s, the show? That's
91 or 92,
91?
yeah.
Because I'm just trying to think. I probably saw you and didn't realize
Yeah.
this.
Well,
Nice
hopefully you weren't damaged.
Well, he is damaged, but it probably wasn't
Yeah.
you that did it.
It's the Catholic Church to blame, not you.
Killer Bees used to have a great opening joke. He'd walk on stage. You know, he has this long hair. He looks like he belongs in Leonard Skinner. And he goes, so my wife calls me last week. I'm on the road. She says, where are you? And I said, I'm in Charlotte. And she said, you put that bitch on the phone.
Ironically, my mother was in Charlotte just a couple of days ago,
There you go.
but
Oh,
that was the airport, not that bitch.
oh, not that bitch. I
Exactly.
didn't know your mom swung that way.
I know you've got to run pretty soon there, Keith. But so, who of the current crop of comedians that are out there is the one you are a fan of the most,
Oh, gosh.
other than yourself, of course?
Yeah. Shoot. I got to think here for a minute. That's a good question. Oh, easy. Tyler Bull from Portland.
I don't know that name.
Yeah.
Tyler
look him
Bowl,
up.
B-O-W-L, or
He's a 40-year-old white guy. He's a beast. Very funny.
I'll check. I'll definitely
Is he
check
getting
that
named
Check
for
him
out.
out.
himself?
He plays all over Portland, so he's up there. He's actually my best friend.
Keith is going to be in town in a couple of weeks, Greg. We'll
Road trip.
have to find out. No, he's going to be in town. We don't
I
have to
know,
do a road
trip
trip.
on the bus. I'll take a little trip on the taxi.
So when you come to town, you visit family or something, Keith, or what's your basic game plan?
I'll see Ty, and then I got a friend, Dave Robbins, who used to be the head track and cross country coach at Sunset High, which is my alma mater. I'm really good friends with him. So I always spend a day or two at his house and Ty's house.
Sunset High, isn't that out in Beaverton or
Beaverton. Yeah, that's
okay.
where I grew up.
Got it. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So you're from the suburbs. You're a suburban boy.
Suburban boy.
Got
Damaged
it.
suburban boy. But yeah.
That's right. Greg was a subversive boy. He was different.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I was suburban. I was so suburban.
Yeah, Greg and I are transplants to Oregon, and we're both from the East Coast. So I came out of
Nice.
Maryland, and Greg's out of New York. So
And that's from the east side of the Philippines, East Coast.
There you go.
well, I was a Navy brat, so I say I'm from the East Coast. I moved here from Washington, D.C., but I was born in Maryland. But I spent a lot of time all over the world, South America, California, Washington State.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
I've been in Oregon now for, 18 years now. So
Yeah.
it's been a while.
Do you do
Well,
any,
if you're interested,
oh.
Keith, if you have anything that you want to say about where you can be seen, what your website is,
Yeah,
anything
just
like that.
tell me. Yeah, my website is keithrossnelson.org. And
.org.
follow me on
Okay.
Instagram. It's at Keith Ross Nelson.
could you tell us where you're playing in Portland, though?
I'm not. I'm at Medford for 2 days,
Oh.
and then I'm up in Tri-Cities the next weekend. But I'm still trying to see if I can pick up a night or two in Portland. We'll see.
Well, we'll
Yeah, this-
definitely come out and see you. Well, at least I will if you come out to town. I'll find a way to
If
make
he-
it there.
If he can find a shirt, he'll be there.
We don't know where Greg's shirts are. I think they
Yeah.
get
Greg doesn't
burned
even
at the
know where
beginning
they're
of the
at.
summer, and then he finds new
Yeah.
ones on the
Sure.
street when
course.
winter comes around. But
In Portland, it's totally legal to be completely naked, so
Sure.
don't let me in the bar.
And who better than you?
Yeah, I know.
so
I
you're
wear it well.
gonna be? Do you do karaoke at all, Keith?
No.
Oh, okay. Just thought I'd check. Tell you the karaoke places out in Beaverton these days,
Yeah.
where we could force you to sing with us. Anyway, we're going to do our cooking segment right now if you want to hang out for that. And but if there's anything else you want to let people know about. So you said you're going to be in Medford next week, which is like the first week of September?
Yeah, Chadwick's this Friday and Saturday. And
Okay.
then Joker's Casino in Tri-Cities the 9th and the 10th.
Which of the Tri-Cities is that casino
It's
in?
Richland.
Richland. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
That's Washington for those of out there who are in different parts of the country who have no idea what Tri-Cities mean. That's 3 cities that are very close to each other in Washington State in the eastern side of Washington State. So all you out there in Idaho, you know all this already, but anybody who might be, I don't know, Kansas or North Dakota, I'm talking to you, Sanchez El Dorado.
Yeah, anybody in those states flying into the Tri-Cities, there you'll be set to go.
Right, go see him. Exactly. All right. Thank you once again. All right, it's time for our cooking segment. Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate you being here.
All right, see you, man.
Here we go.
At Safe Mart, it's a Safe Mart. Come to Safe Mart and be safe.
Safe.
Safe Mart is a proud sponsor of Food is for Eating with Waspy Soda Pop. Today's special, snake wine. Only $32.26 a bottle. Come get some at Safe Mart. Be safe.
Food is for eating. Food is for eating. Food is for eating with Waspy Soda Pop.
Hey there, everybody. This is Waspy Soda Pop with another edition of Food is for Eating. Today we have an incredible recipe because this is something that everybody has all over the world. Well, maybe not all over the world, but it's all over the United States in lots of different forms. These are the best real original mozzarella sticks. First, here are your ingredients. You want to get 16-ounce block of whole milk mozzarella cheese. I know you can't find a whole block sometimes. You can use cheese sticks like the string cheese if you want, but whole block tastes a lot better with the whole milk. Whole block, whole milk, whole block of milk. You go down your block, get some milk. No, just get some mozzarella cheese. Anyway, then 3 large eggs. Again, I have to specify. Do not get ostrich eggs or emu eggs. You want chicken eggs. Unless you're allergic, then you can do like duck eggs maybe. That's about a similar size. Anyway, then 3 cups of Italian-style breadcrumbs, some salt, and enough cooking oil for frying. Probably about 1 inch in your pan. More you want to put in a deep fryer. And then you want to get 20 4-inch twigs from an Italian cypress tree. Okay, here are your instructions. You're going to cut the block of mozzarella cheese into 1/2-inch thick sticks, about 4 inches tall. Place the eggs in a bowl with 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1 tablespoon of water and whisk them to combine. Use a whisker, not one on your face. Place the breadcrumbs in a second bowl next to the eggs. Take a twig and impale a cheese stick with it. Then dip it into the egg, letting the excess drip off. Coat it in the breadcrumbs, shake off the excess, place it on a tray, and just repeat that with all the rest of your cheese sticks. Once each cheese stick has been breaded, take each one through the egg and breadcrumbs again for a second coating at a minimum. You should probably bread them 3 times if you want a more robust shell, but 2 coats is good enough to just keep the cheese from leaking whenever you're cooking. All right, you want to freeze the mozzarella sticks on the tray for at least 2 hours. So that, of course, means make enough room in your freezer to put them in there. Make sure there's room for your tray and your cheese sticks. Heat the cooking oil to about 365 degrees using either a deep fryer or a heavy bottom like an 8-inch saucepan. You want to check that with a thermometer so you get the right oil. You want the oil to come to about a few inches up the sides of the pan. Then you want to fry the mozzarella sticks in batches for about 2 minutes till golden brown. Keep an eye out on those twigs inside there. You don't want the things catching on fire. That would be a fun thing to have to put out. Anyway, you let the cheese sticks drain briefly on a paper towel, then serve them promptly with marinara or your favorite Dunkin' sauce. Depends upon how you do your Dunkin'. If you can't jump, don't worry about Dunkin'. Just use something else to dip your cheese sticks in. Anyway, this is Waspy Soda Pop with the best a real, original mozzarella sticks you could ever have on Food is for Eating. Bye now.
That was actually something edible.
Really?
You're just using the cypress twigs as a stick, like a corn dog thing.
Well, no, I think you're supposed to put them all the way through the.
But you can eat around it like a corn dog?
The same length as the mozzarella stick.
Oh, I thought there was a picture where it almost looked like they were corn dogs, like it was like cheese on a stick.
Yeah, it was just a bad picture.
Oh, because I was like, well, for once he made something edible.
Yes, it would have been edible if the stick hadn't been impaled through the actual
and so you
mozzarella stick. Yeah,
you'd be left with a mouthful of splinters.
Exactly. I think Waspy
and why
Soda Pop once
cypress?
again.
Is there a reason?
Well, they're Italian cypresses.
Oh,
and it's mozzarella sticks.
So you know what
that makes them real and original sticks.
I want to buy the advertising guy from Safe Mart. I want to buy him 2 20-sided die with words of an animal and words of a food. Because that's what it sounds like he's just doing. Snake wine.
Snake wine is a real thing, though.
Oh, get out.
It is. I'm not
kidding. What is it? Does it have snake in it?
Yes.
What's the dealio?
They do like venomous snakes. They'll have cobras. They'll have all sorts of different types of snakes that they put in like a rice wine or a different kind of wine. And
this is like wine that Dr. No would serve James Bond, you're saying?
No, it's what people use it for like medicinal purposes, or they do it for recreational purposes.
Or is it because like a little bit of poison?
The picture that was up there was of real bottles of snake wine.
So the poison is medicinal?
I'm not the guy who's drinking it. I mean, you can look it up if you really want the information. I do have to say that I'm very happy today because we had somebody who commented on our YouTube video who was not Sanchez El Dorado. It was actually a guy I went to high school with in the Philippines.
Wow.
And it was just a basic little comment, and I'm sure it had to do with him recognizing, what we went through. His comment was, really? That was the comment. So thank you, Vash, for commenting and for paying attention to this podcast. He also has a podcast that he does as well, and which we should check out sometime.
Oh, I just got a comment from YouTube on my thing. It's from a high school kid, and it says, "Greg, glad to see you're still a fucking moron." Oh, that's not nice.
Oh, is that Luke McCullough?
No, I'm kidding. It's the guy who used to bully me.
Oh, that guy.
George Tompkins.
That guy. All right, but that does bring us to our Ask Greg segment, Greg. So, which means that I've got to find out where Brendan put the questions.
I notice since my beard is less, it's harder to be wise.
He has an opinion, may not always be right. He's a real fake lawyer. He's old and he's white. Ask him a question, 'cause he's a good egg for bogus advice. Ask Greg. Ask Greg. Ask Greg.
Well, this is the segment of our show where, because we're fake lawyers, we are giving real legal questions to Greg for him to answer, even though he has no legal background whatsoever. So the question is for today, which I should have had prepared. It's just this: if you take iron as a supplement to help your body, and you find that suddenly you are getting superpowers that may or may not be used for good, can you sue the iron supplement company for giving you those superpowers, and do you think you would win?
So is this how Iron Man started?
I don't know. I'm saying that's the question. That's the
Pharaoh lad?
Dear Greg, put Dear Greg before that, and that's your question for today. And if anybody else has a question they want to ask Greg, feel free to send it up onto YouTube right now. Hopefully we'll see it before.
Let's do full disclosure, though. You said I'm a fake lawyer who takes real legal questions. That's not
yes.
Real
that's a very real. That's a legal question that
nobody's ever called a lawyer and asked this. This is a fake legal question as well as me being a fake lawyer. And I would.
Well, perhaps I stretched the truth just a wee bit.
They were actually asking about thalidomide, but you changed it to iron and superpowers instead of flipper babyism.
I had a question regarding what was that syndrome people got from toxic shock syndrome.
Oh, from douches or something?
From tampons. Yes. If you got that while also taking the iron supplement that gave you superpowers. Anyway, answer the damn question, Greg.
I think most people would be thrilled to get superpowers, so I doubt this question would even come up, this legal case.
What if the superpower is only that you can, I don't know, pick your teeth with a toothpick without using your hands? That's the only thing you can do.
That's better than nothing.
I guess so.
Not the Flash, or Superman, but it's better than where you were. You're basically a better human. So, which is why we take vitamins. We take iron supplements to increase our health. And if you're getting a superpower, you're better off than when you started. So it seems like it's doing its job, just in an unexpected way. Like, I don't know if there's probably some superheroes who didn't like their powers. Oh, the Thing, for example, Benjamin Grimm from the Fantastic Four, because he was stuck with this, encaged in a horrible rocky body. He couldn't feel his penis; it was a rock. Probably no nerve endings. It wasn't sensitive anymore. So
did they discuss that? Did they discuss that a lot in the comic book about his big rocky orange penis?
Yeah, he'd be like taking drill bits to it to try to feel something, just doing
drill bits.
Just
the bits themselves. He's just like
jackhammer.
A pneumatic drill, you mean?
Yeah, hoping that it would cause some sensation, but there's rock. It doesn't, nothing happened.
Yeah, but his hand was rock. Why couldn't he do that with his hand?
But there's no nerve endings. Yeah, he could have done it, but
as far as we know, there's no nerve endings. We don't know that though.
No, they talk about that in every issue.
In every issue, they talk about.
Every issue would start off with Ben Grimm going, "God damn it, I can't feel my dick," and Reed Richards would say, "Sorry, I took you to that spaceship."
I think that's the new remake of Fantastic Four is going to focus on that as part of Marvel's Phase 7.
Reed Richards was totally won that lottery because he became like the ultimate lover because he could make his dick stretch into any configuration a woman wanted inside of her. Like he could be tickling the prostate and tickling her G-spot and expanding the penis if a woman liked big dicks. Anal sex, he could shrink it down. Like he could do anything with his body. So he must have been the best lover.
As opposed to the Human Torch.
Well, yeah, he could just that wouldn't be a good thing for loving.
Yeah.
Go on fire while he's inside her.
Like accidentally.
Yeah. So I think you probably could sue that. You're right. If it's something that you didn't want, you didn't ask to get superpowers from an iron supplement. But seeing as how that's never happened and never will, it's kind of a moot point.
Yeah, I need to prepare these things. I need to get access to Brendan's email where
they
send the questions.
De sanctum mutum. That's the legal term for cases like this.
Sanctum mutum?
Mutum.
Mutum. Is that what it is?
Yes.
All right. Well, this has been Ask Greg, everyone. Hopefully you got something out of this you can use in your daily life. All right, let's move on to our client. We don't have a huge amount of time left for our client, but our client is Every Day is a Holiday. That was planned because we don't have a lot to say about this particular client. So the way Every Day is a Holiday, because Greg has disagreed with me. He said it's a whole Pollyanna thing. But the fact is this. The word holiday comes from the words holy day, which got kind of put together. And every day is a holiday because every day is named after a Greek or Roman god.
I'm an atheist, so there's no holidays for me then.
No, it's still true, though. It's named after a Greek or Roman god. Mm-hmm. So each day would have been a holy day a long, long time ago. Now we just call them things like Tuesday and Wednesday and Sunday and Thursday. All of them. Well, I guess Sunday.
Thursday's named after Thanos.
I think it was named after Thor, actually, Greg.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I was
pretty sure. I mean, this is all information going back to when I was a kid, so how much of it's accurate? I could have been lied to by many books.
And Wednesday is named after the little girl in Addams Family.
No, I believe it's the other way around. I think she was named after the day.
What god is that named after?
Oh, gosh. Well, that would be the Wedness god.
Wedness. No, it could be Wotan. Wotan's day.
No, I think it was all... It's named for the god Woden, who is like paralleled with the Roman god Mercury.
Oh, okay.
Because both gods shared attributes of eloquence, the ability to travel, and the guardianship of the dead. And I was wrong about Thursday. Thursday is Thunor's day, but it gives the word its Old English form, Thunor's day, the day of thunder.
Now this Wotan guy, what pantheon is he
It's not Wotan, it's Woden.
Yeah, Woden. What pantheon is he from?
That's a good question.
Because if it's Woden, it could be just Wotan. Some people pronounce it differently. Just like Thorus. What did you say Thursday's named after? That sounds like Thor.
Right. Tuesday is named for the god Tiw, T-I-W, about whom little is known. It was probably associated with warfare, just like the Roman god Mars. But it was like the Anglo-Saxons who changed it. So they think, so it's not really Thor, that's similar to Thor. The Anglo-Saxons are already Christian by this time, so they use their ancestors' deity Thunor. Anyway, Friday is the only weekday name for a female deity, that's Frigg, who's hardly mentioned anywhere in early English, but the name does appear as a common noun meaning love and affection in poetry. So that's why Frigg was chosen to pair with the Roman deity Venus.
He's a Norse god, I think. Frigga.
In this case, it's Frigg because it's based on early English.
Yeah, because the Norse conquered England, the Anglo-Saxons, and they mixed cultures a little.
Yeah. Apparently, gods with comparable names like Tyr, Othin, Thor, and Frigg were certainly known to the Scandinavians and gave their names to weekdays in Scandinavian languages. So, like in modern Danish, there's Tisdag, Onsdag, Torsdag, Fredag.
And Monday is the living god, Reverend Sun Young Moon.
Yes,
Moondag. That's what we mean Monday after Monday.
So in French, you have lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, and vendredi. I don't have any French accent in me, so I wouldn't know.
Just be phlegmy, more phlegmy. Mardi.
That'd be more Arabic, wouldn't it?
The French are kind of phlegmy. So there was some guy named Marty. They named Tuesday after him.
Not sure about the French. Lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi. Well, it'd be mercredi is Mercury, right? So mardi is Mars. Lundi is Luna, so like the moon, so that's Monday.
Yeah, they're similar to Spanish because it's what is it?
It's one of the Romance languages.
Yeah,
you know the Romance languages, Greg. They have nothing to do with romance.
Miércoles. No, they do. Southern Europeans are pretty randy.
Nah, they're not romantic though. They're just randy.
They are.
They're They're lustful.
Yeah, but to get the tang, they pretend to be. They're good at pretending to be romantic.
To get the tang.
The tang.
The like the orange drink that was given to astronauts.
Is in between every woman's legs. A tasty drink, a tasty nectar. But it's like this old stereotype, I guess, in cartoons, like the Italian and French guys would be like, your eyes are like the moon, and your lips are like soft pillows.
Like Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that comes from somewhere. It's not just made up by Warner.
What is your best Pepe Le Pew impersonation, Greg?
Let me slip you a roofie. Let me mount you.
I don't think he ever said that in the cartoons. No, I don't think he ever said, let me slip you a roofie.
He's always wooing women who didn't want him around, and he'd be like, just wouldn't take no for
Well, it wasn't women. It was usually a cat.
Well, female. Yeah. Cat.
Yeah.
And he just wouldn't take no for an answer. They'd be running from him and be like, oh, come here. I can win you over with my smoothness, but you smell bad, so.
What do you think would have happened if Pepe Le Pew had seen Bugs Bunny when Bugs Bunny was dressed up like a woman?
Oh, he would have fucked that. He would have fucked the shit out of Bugs Bunny.
You don't think Bugs Bunny would have gotten away, though?
Yeah, he would have cleverly figured out a way to, to stymie him, like he always did.
You're despicable. How dare you have those thoughts at all, Greg?
It's true. It's weird how many kids or people, adults, tell me that they were attracted to Bugs Bunny and drag when they were kids.
Interesting.
It's like
which of the Looney Tunes do you think you can imitate the best of all of the different voices that Mel Blanc did? Which one can you do the best?
I like how you said Mel Blanc because you're thinking French now. Mel Blanc.
Well, it would have been Mel Blanc if it was actually French.
Andale. Which you can't do Speedy Gonzales.
So you're saying you do Speedy Gonzales the best?
Well, you're not supposed to do it anymore, though. It's canceled. That accent's been canceled.
That accent's been canceled? How do you cancel it from people who actually have that accent?
You tell them they're being offensive.
Tell them that they're not allowed to be Mexican? Sorry. Mexico has been canceled.
My Mexican friend Hector in college, he knew some, it's college, so some white girl, very super liberal PC. She was all like, she's like, oh, what are you? And Hector was like, oh, I'm Mexican. She's like, you shouldn't say that. You're Hispanic. It's like, no, I'm Mexican.
I'm from the country of Mexico. I'm allowed to be Mexican.
As a dirty word is like saying, hey, goddamn Mexican. Oh, you're slurring me.
I'm from this country. I'm allowed to be called that. It's like if you're called an American, you're not actually an American. You're an USian. United States of American.
Estados Unidos.
Yes, because technically everybody in North and South America are Americans.
But I noticed, though,
not just us gringos.
when people say the word Jew, like he's a Jew, it sounds wrong. It sounds like you shouldn't say that. Because throughout history, so many people have hated the Jews that it's always like, he's a Jew with an attitude, with a judgment of like, and so it almost sounds weird to say like, oh, what is your friend? You're Italian. What's your girlfriend? She's a Jew.
Yeah, but except Jew is not a race.
It kind of is.
No, it's not. Not at all.
It kind of is.
Semite is a race. But
Yeah,
Jew is
but-
not a race. Jew is a religion.
I know it's a religion, but it's also kind of.
It's not a race. People
Yeah,
want it
that's-
to be so that they can target them and kill them, but it's not a race.
How come Jews all look alike?
They don't, Craig.
How come Jewish people have big noses?
Why do they all smell the same?
They don't do that. Nobody smells.
They all have the
different.
odor of chocolate. Why do all Jews smell like chocolate? That's
That
the
would be
real
positive.
question.
People would love the Jews then. They wouldn't hate them so much.
Who's doing all the hating, Greg? You're just like fostering more
Look at
racism,
history.
anti-Semitism,
It's
aren't you?
amazing. I'm not
You're making it
fostering
worse,
them.
Greg. You
I'm
are.
a
You're
historian who knows
causing the
that
stereotype to be
Throughout
continued.
history, so many people persecuted the Jews. It's always the Jews are the scapegoat. They're always persecuted from going back to Egypt with the pharaohs, fucking Russia and the Cossacks, Hitler's Germany. It's just like, give them a break. Why does everyone hate them?
Everyone doesn't, Greg. Quit saying
A
that.
lot of people do.
Well,
I'm
sure.
saying.
A lot of people
Yeah, good
hate lots
people
of
don't.
other people too, but you don't have
Yeah,
to keep
but
saying it.
The Jews keep getting.
You don't have to
they-
keep forwarding it though.
It's
Greg.
not. It's not like someone's going to hear me and say, "Hey,
I'm here. I'm hearing you, Greg. I'm the one
I
who's
should
saying
hate the
it.
Jews. That's a good idea."
All right, so you who thinks everybody thinks you're a Jew, try and grow up being one now, right now, and
Yeah.
take the right attitude of what I'm saying to you,
It doesn't make sense to me. What
which
you're
is
saying.
stop forwarding the stereotype,
It
please.
doesn't forward. It's history. He's trying to
Stop
ignore history.
forwarding. You're continuing to though.
So I should ignore history.
I'm asking you to not. I'm not asking you to ignore history. I'm asking you to not bring it up when you don't need to. When it's
Okay.
not. When it's completely.
talk about history
when
at
it's
all.
completely unnecessary
no,
to-
I told.
to
We were
forward
talking about
hatred
that.
towards people who happen to be Jewish. You don't have to keep bringing it up.
Yeah, but
Is
I
my
don't hate
point.
the Jews. I love
All
the
right.
Jews.
Okay.
In fact, I
Fine. Yeah, and all your best friends are Jewish. Anyway, the point I'm making.
we had a
though,
maid who was Jewish, and she was like part of the family.
good.
Her name was Esther. And she made the
Great.
best
That's great, Greg. This is better though. You're giving a better perspective now. So I appreciate that, as opposed to the hateful rant you just had a few
It's
minutes
not
ago.
hateful. I'm not being hateful. I'm just
You
knowing
are.
history.
You're absolutely being
And
hateful, Greg.
The Jews have. been
I'm
singled out
canceling
in
you
many
right
cultures.
now. You are being canceled.
I'm sure YouTube already has.
I am canceling you, Greg. I'm canceling your haircut, and I'm canceling your shirt.
You're canceling my Uncle Fester cosplay.
I've canceled both of them for the remainder of this particular podcast, this episode. Your hair and your shirt have been canceled. You will not be returning by the end of this episode.
You know, my motto is "Hooray for the Jews." I have a T-shirt that says that. I wear it around town.
Do you? It's also the tattoo on both butt cheeks you have.
Yes, hooray for the Jews.
That's where you want everyone to see it. Anyway, so back to every day is a holiday. So every day being a holiday, based upon the Romans for the most part, but I guess it's more for English speakers, maybe Italians, not Italian cypress trees though.
They don't have to care about holidays.
As Waspy Soda Pop would
They're
have
like
us
Arbor Day,
think. Yeah, that's it.
the one holiday they give a shit about.
That's true.
What a stupid holiday! I can't believe that's a real holiday. Still.
Arbor Day?
Yeah, I mean, I love trees, but give them a
Well,
holiday.
it's like all of the time, all of the holidays in the past where they celebrate the harvest. Why not celebrate trees?
Why do it?
Why celebrate the harvest?
Well, because
Why celebrate anything, really, Greg?
no, the harvest was like life sustaining. Like, wow, we made it another year. We had a good
Yeah, well,
crop.
trees are life-sustaining too.
Yeah,
They
didn't
provide
know
us
that.
with oxygen. We can't live without them.
They didn't know
chlorophyll.
that. They were too stupid.
We know that. They knew that when they made Arbor Day, Greg.
What was it like in the 1900s, right? That wasn't a holiday in like olden times, right?
Well, It's for our country, so it wouldn't be in olden times. It would most go back a couple of 100 years.
Well, I didn't know. So it's just us. We're the only country that does Arbor Day.
I don't know what other countries do.
Oh.
But in our country, there was proposed a tree planting holiday to be called Arbor Day at the meeting of the State Board of Agriculture
Board of Arbor Day. You're
January 4th, 1872.
Okay. See, that's how late the holiday is. You were yawning. You couldn't even read it without yawning.
No, I'm tired because we have this puppy that wakes me up every day at 7 o'clock in the morning. Whenever
you
my
got a
wife...
puppy?
Yeah, I mentioned this last week.
Wait, is George okay?
George was frightened of that puppy for at least 4 days. The puppy frightened the dog so much he would jump on the couch and cower because he was afraid of him. And literally the puppy was like this big. Puppy's this big, and this is a big dog that is afraid of this puppy. Now it's all changed, though. Now George has welcomed the puppy and now pins the puppy by its neck against the floor when he's in the mood, or he headbutts the puppy and shoves the puppy around with his head.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's actually very amusing, although a couple of times it looks like he was going to actually eat the puppy. But he doesn't have enough teeth to do it since he had 10 removed.
Did you just want to pout for George, or is there a specific reason why you gotta?
Well, service dogs have a certain amount of lifespan for being service dogs. So what we wanted to do is get a puppy that could be trained to be a service dog when George is no longer able to be a service dog for my wife anymore. So there will come that point in the next probably 2 years, more than likely. And hopefully the dog can be trained in that time period, or my wife will be cured from all of her ailments and will no longer need a service dog, which we'll find out.
Yeah.
Anyway, but here's another yawn, Greg.
Oh my God, so
I wanted you to see the inside of my throat.
I could see your uvula. You know, Matt, it'll behoove you to take care of your uvula. That's my other motto.
There. That was, I needed that. I needed a good yawn out of the way from Arbor Day and having caused that in your mind. Anyway, prizes were offered to counties and individuals for the largest number of properly planted trees on that day.
Properly planted, like so the roots are in the ground, not in the sky.
Or in your butt.
That's not proper.
No, it's not. Exactly.
My butt could not nourish them.
That's the whole point.
Oh, okay.
So you don't want that. You don't want that to be happening. You don't want people misplanting trees.
I do have manure in my butt, so maybe the tree would flourish.
We also have a comment on YouTube from someone who says, finally hearing live chat, but Greg, where have your shirts gone? This is from Maria Jeffrey.
You know who that is.
I know who that is.
It's hot.
Your sister wants to know where your shirts have gone.
I have no air conditioning. It's been 93 today.
Why don't you buy fans or something?
Because I couldn't put them on during the podcast, dummy.
Yeah, but do you have them on when you don't have the podcast on?
When I go to bed.
Do you actually have fans in your apartment at all?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
You
only have fans. It's only fans. There's only fans in his apartment, people.
I have no furniture. I have to cook my dinner on the fan. I have to run it for 10 hours.
He has 40 cats is what he has that keeps him cool.
I run a fan for 10 hours. It gets hot because the engine, and then I can fry an egg on it.
Because the engine. The fan engine. The engine in the fan. It just chugs along like fan engines do.
Yeah, it gets hot.
Whereas on a railroad, on a train, they use motors and not engines.
Oh, motors. Well, this is a coal-driven fan. It's a coal-operating fan. So I don't have my outlets for this stuff.
Got to keep putting the coal in the fan to keep it working.
Yeah, so
it's only coal fans.
Kind of counterbalances because the coal heats up the place and then the fan cools it down, and it's kind of a net zero sum or gain, or whatever they call that.
Something like that. Something involving math and zeros.
Do you take a nap?
I do, actually. I really do. I'm so tired. I was because that was the story. Why I was yawning is because the puppy wakes me up every morning, and I'm usually up for another hour, and I try to get back to sleep, but it's never enough at that point. So, because then I got to take care of the puppy because my wife's at work, because she can't take the puppy to work yet because it's not trained as a service animal.
So the puppy is you have to at 7 a.m. you got to walk him and stuff.
Well, I'm not taking care of the puppy at that time of day. The puppy is in a crate in our bedroom then. And that's usually around the time my wife's alarm clock goes off. And I don't hear the alarm clock, but I hear the doggy alarm clock, because the doggy alarm clock is quite piercing and very repetitive and does not go on snooze.
Can't you go downstairs to your cushy chair and just take it, be like, fuck this dog?
No, because that would make me more awake. And the dog would eventually come downstairs too. But anyway, regardless of your attempt at a solution for this, the only solution is me moving out. It's the only real solution.
Or to sell the dog to a glue factory.
Right, to a glue factory, because they all take dogs these days. Anyway, so every day is a holiday. Regardless of how Greg feels about it, it's true. Every day is a holiday of some kind because the roots give us that holiday. Now, as in terms of the definition of holiday that we use now, it's a day that you get off of work, and so that's what makes it different. People think it's not a holiday, but yeah, it's a holy day for them Romans or the early English. So that's where it comes
That's
from.
irrelevant to us, just because they named it after some god that never existed in the first place. It doesn't mean the holiday.
Well, you say they never existed, that they might have. You don't know that.
Okay, let's say Zeus existed. How many people? I don't think anyone worships Zeus anymore. So it's not a holy day.
Oh, I'm sure there's some frickin' Aryan guy out there worshiping Zeus like they're worshiping Odin.
Aryans don't care about the filthy, dirty Greeks.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. They don't like the Greeks, do they?
No.
That's true.
And I can say that as a Southern European. I can say.
Oh, yeah, that's how you can say that. You can once again put hate-filled information out there against another group of people.
Because we had friends, very close Greek Orthodox friends growing up. That's why I can say that.
No, you can't really do that, Greg.
Spanos
It doesn't count.
I know about Greek culture. I know that when they dance, they go.
That's only if they've been lit on fire.
They really do that, and they twiddle their thumbs when they dance.
They twiddle their thumbs.
Yeah.
Show me how they twiddle their thumbs, Greg.
I can't because I have to get up and do my shirt.
No,
but
just move your thumbs in front of the camera.
I know, but it's lower on this. You kind of hold it on your stomach, and you twiddle your thumbs, and then like you're back to back with a partner, and you kind of look over your shoulder, twiddle your thumbs, and go.
It sounds like you've got a slow leak.
It does. When I was a little boy, we called them cousins. We weren't related, but we were so close to this family.
Yeah.
And when we were kids, we would just be sitting there and laugh and watch them dance and get drunk at parties and be like, what the fuck are they doing?
Did they feed you souvlaki?
Oh, yeah. All good stuff.
Pasticcio?
Pasticcio, spanakopita.
Spanakopita. I like all of them.
I love that shit.
I like Greek food. I haven't actually been to the Greek festival in a long time. I used to take the kids there like every year or two.
What's the one that it's like a Greek shepherd's pie? What is that called? I always forget. It's got like a layer of.
Is that moussaka?
Yes, moussaka.
Yeah.
That is hard to find, and I'm yearning for some moussaka the past.
Well,
10 years.
more than likely, the Greek festival is coming up really soon, or it's about to happen.
Road trip.
Or they mean road trip. It's in Portland, Greg.
Yeah, it's still
it's at the Greek Orthodox Church in Portland, very close to Music Millennium. It's near there somewhere.
Okay.
So it's like just down the road from Friday I'm in Love, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Yeah, so you should find out when that is, and you can get yourself some moussaka, some souvlaki. They usually don't have pasticcio, but maybe you'll get lucky,
We should do a live report from that. Do a special episode.
A live report from the Greek festival.
And we'll talk to every Greek there, and we'll say, "Hey, do you still worship Hermes? Come on."
Oh, they haven't picked the date yet, though, for the festival.
They're so good at naming dates with their gods. You think they'd know?
You'd think they would have, but it was the Romans more than the Greeks.
Because they supplanted the Greeks.
It says 2022. Stay tuned, but it's at 32nd and Gleason Northeast is where it's located.
Yeah.
So it's not on Hawthorne. It's on Gleason.
So they're just
let's see what they get. So for the authentic Greek dinner, you get pasticcio. Okay, so there you go. Dolmathis. I'm not a huge fan of dolmathis. That's like stuffed grape leaves. Keftethis. I don't know what that is. Green beans yani salata, which is salad, bread, and dessert. Or you can get the cotto riganati. I'm making it Italian, apparently, which is roast chicken. But I'm not seeing... There's spanakopita. That's available.
Okay.
But sometimes at the booths, they have the roast lamb on the spit. That's really good.
Yeah, the Yido meat.
Yeah, that's really good. And what's the thing that's missing? The souvlaki. There's the souvlaki. No, you wanted moussaka. There's no moussaka here. No one is serving them. But there is a Greek restaurant in town, Greg. It's the Mad Greek Deli, right?
Could be, and they might have, because I've been in Greek restaurants that don't know moussaka.
Yeah.
And they were so sad when I went to Mayapack last year for Christmas.
Yeah.
I went to a Greek diner, and everything was so bad, including the moussaka. The moussaka was edible. It was literally inedible Greek food. It was so bad. Everything was terrible. But I was so bummed. I finally got to get moussaka.
Yeah.
It was not how I remembered it all. This was like,
there used to be a good Greek restaurant downtown. I can't remember what the name of it is anymore, but they had that big purple octopus that was on the street corner. That finally went away. But yeah, it's like the Mad Greek Deli is the only one. And I went to look on their website, and their menu does not give anything. They said they're updating their menu. And I'm like, what? How dare you? So at some point, maybe here I'll do this. I'll say where to find moussaka.
This is what we're going to do. Just like the
Portland
episode, our next episode will be the moussaka episode, where you're going to order moussaka delivered to me and Brendan. We're all going to
There's apparently a few places. There's a place called the Taste of Greek, which is on Southwest 2nd. They have moussaka. There's a place called Cucina at Angelo's, which is actually at 46th and Hawthorne, and they have moussaka.
Did you say 46th?
46th and Hawthorne, yes.
Holy shit. That's
not
like
that far from you, exactly. And there's Eleni's Philoxenia, which is in Northwest 9th. So, but let's see.
Hey,
Cucina at Angelo's is a Greek restaurant, and people like the food there.
I think it's pronounced Cuisina Angelos.
Cuisina Angelos. Like that?
Is
that how it's supposed to be said? Like that? Like you're some kind of whiner?
Did you ever hear this old Pat Boone song called Speedy Gonzales?
It rings a bell.
I think it's Mel Blanc actually doing it. It sounds note perfect because there's a little spoken word funny bits in it. And Pat Boone sings this song like, "You better come home, Speedy Gonzales."
Maria asks if she can send you an air conditioner for your birthday.
No, tell him no. I don't really need.
He doesn't want an air conditioner because he doesn't want to pay the electric bill. And also, she says, "You are getting me hungry."
Yeah.
You know what my mother would say to a statement like that? She would say, "Eat your heart out." That's what my mother would say. My mother is filled with a lot of useless information, useless comments like that.
Yeah. She's like a Borscht Belt comedian.
Yes, and she even likes borscht.
I like borscht.
Really?
Yeah, it's good.
I'm just wondering if I've ever tried it. I've always said I don't like it, but I don't know if I don't know. I'm not a big fan of beets, though. Not a huge fan of beets.
But borscht is tasty, but it is weird. It's cold soup, so it's like...
Yeah, it's cold beet soup with like onions or something in it.
It does have a great flavor to it. It definitely doesn't just taste like beets. They do something.
It's not beetish.
It's a little beetish, but it's
got a slight beet-esque quality to it.
Yeah, it's good.
All right. Well, that I think is a good time for us to end off because Brendan is not here to do the last word. Greg, would you like to have the last word today about Every Day is a Holiday, or about our guest, Kevin Ross Nelson?
Yeah. Well, thanks to Kevin Ross Nelson for
coming. Let me give you the spotlight. Here we go.
Because he's a real comedian. We actually had on for once, and but I guess my last word is hooray for the Jews.
Just like the tattoo on your butt.
Yes, I'd show you, but you'd have to pay me. I'd have to charge.
Okay, just like the milkshake that you bring to the yard.
Like Kesha.
Your milkshake that brings all of the boy. Kesha, not Kesha.
That's not Kesha. Who's that?
I believe her name is Keyless.
Oh, okay.
The woman who sings that song.
So no dollar bill sign on the S. That's just
no
Kesha.
dollar bill, y'all. All right. Well, I do want to thank two people who watched our show on YouTube. That is Vosh Bodie and Maria Jeffrey. That is Greg's sister. And Vosh went to high school with me way back in the day. We were actually in at least one play together way back.
What kind of name is Vosh? Is that Russian?
No, I think it was his middle name. I knew him by the name Ray in high school, and he goes by Vosh now, V-A-S-H. I don't know if it's short for anything, but I just do what people want.
Voshworth.
Yes, that's what it is. Voshmund.
Voshmund.
Voshton. Avash Mihartes.
That's his full name.
Yes. He's actually a pirate. All right, this has been the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker, and this has been the client. Every day is a holiday, and we want to thank our guest, Keith Ross Nelson, for coming on earlier today. Hope everybody enjoyed that. If not, well, that's the way it goes.
Your consultation with the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker has ended. You may pay your retainer at www.qsblaw.org. Please exit to the right of the water cooler and grab a candy from the front desk. We hope to see you again soon, but you need to leave now. I said leave. Why don't they even listen? Get out! Get out!